The desperate call. The emergency lights cast long shadows across the corridors of Tarvik Station as another blast shook the massive research facility. Dr. Mira Thane pressed her six-fingered hands against the wall to steady herself, her blue-scaled skin glistening with perspiration. Through the reinforced windows, the dark shapes of Vorthak warships blotted out the stars. Tarvik Station had been humanity's gift to the galaxy, though the humans themselves remained mysterious. The Nexari had built this research outpost at the edge of explored space, far from the conflicts that plagued the inner systems. For 20 years, scientists from dozens of species had worked here in peace, pushing the boundaries of knowledge. Now that peace was shattered, the Nexari were known throughout the galaxy as scholars and healers, never warriors. Their delicate features and slender builds made them natural researchers, but poor soldiers. The station's minimal defenses had held for 3 days, but everyone knew they wouldn't last much longer. Dr. Thane, please report to the command center immediately. The station's AI announced in its calm, measured voice, a stark contrast to the chaos erupting around them. Mira hurried through the corridors, past frightened researchers huddled in their labs. She passed the quantum physics section where her life's work waited. After 15 years of research, she had finally cracked the secret of stable quantum tunneling. The implications were staggering. Instant travel across any distance, unlimited energy, technology that could reshape civilization. The command center buzzed with activity. Station Commander Vek, an elderly Nexari with silver-streaked scales, looked up as she entered. His usually bright eyes were dim with exhaustion and worry. "Mira, thank the ancestors you're here," he said, his voice heavy with strain. "We need to discuss the quantum research." Before she could respond, the massive view screen flickered to life. The grotesque face of War Admiral Grix filled the display. The Vorthak were a warrior species, their thick-boned skulls covered in bony ridges, their small black eyes set deep in their heads. Grix's scared visage spoke of countless battles. "Nexari," Grix's voice rumbled through the speakers, each word dripping with menace. "You have interfered with Vorthak expansion for the last time. This system now belongs to the Empire." Commander Vek straightened his thin frame. "War Admiral, this is a peaceful research station. We have no military value to your empire. We ask only that you allow our people to evacuate safely." Grix laughed, a harsh sound like grinding stone. "Peaceful? Our intelligence indicates you possess quantum breakthrough technology. Such power cannot remain in the hands of weak herbivores. You will transfer all research data to us immediately, or we will take it from your corpses." Mira felt her blood run cold. Somehow the Vorthak had learned about her work. In the wrong hands, quantum tunneling technology could create weapons of unimaginable destruction. The thought of the Vorthak Empire wielding such power terrified her. "We will not comply," Commander Vek stated firmly. "This research belongs to all peaceful species, not to warmongers." "Then you choose death," Grix snarled. "You have 1 hour to reconsider. After that, we begin bombardment. There will be no survivors." The screen went dark, leaving the command center in stunned silence. "Have any of our allies responded to our distress calls?" Vek asked his communications officer, a young Nexari named Zen. Zen shook his head sadly. "The Altarian Republic says they cannot spare ships. The Centauri Federation fears Vorthak retaliation. Even the Galactic Council claims this is outside their jurisdiction." Mira clenched her fists. It was always the same. When faced with true evil, the galaxy's great powers found excuses to look away. The strong preyed on the weak while others cowered in fear. "What about the Outer Rim colonies?" she asked desperately. "Most lack the ships or weapons to help," Zen replied. "There is one response, though." He hesitated. A transmission came in from something called the Terran Confederacy. The room fell silent. Everyone had heard whispers of the Terrans, a mysterious species that had appeared in the outer reaches about 50 years ago. They traded occasionally with frontier colonies, but kept to themselves. Most considered them primitive, possessing only basic space technology. What did they say? Vec asked. Zen brought up the message. A human face appeared on screen. Lean features, brown skin, dark eyes that seemed to hold depths of determination. The beam wore a dark blue uniform with insignia nobody recognized. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Colonial Ship Prometheus," the human said, her voice clear and confident. "We received your distress signal. Help is on the way. Hold your position." The message ended, leaving the Nexari staring at the screen in confusion. "That's it?" Mira asked. "No questions about the threat? No requests for political guarantees or payment?" "Apparently not," Zen replied, equally puzzled. Commander Vec stroked his chin thoughtfully. "Send a reply. Tell them the situation is hopeless. The Vorthak have 7 heavy cruisers and 2 dreadnoughts. We appreciate their courage, but one ship cannot stand against such odds." As Zen worked to send the message, another blast rocked the station. The lights flickered, and several console displays went dark. "They're testing our shields," the tactical officer reported, "running focused scans on our weakest points." Mira returned to her lab with a heavy heart. She began destroying her research notes, determined that the Vorthak would never possess quantum technology. As she worked, she thought about the human who had promised help. Such naive courage would likely just result in another ship added to the Vorthak fleet's trophy collection. The hour passed quickly. When War Admiral Grix's face reappeared on the screens throughout the station, his expression showed no surprise at their refusal to surrender. "So be it," he said simply. "Begin bombardment." The first salvo struck Tarvik Station's shields with tremendous force. The protective barriers, designed to deflect meteorites and cosmic radiation, began to buckle under the assault. Emergency power kicked in as primary systems overloaded. In the command center, Commander Vec watched his home of 20 years being systematically destroyed. Each blast brought them closer to the end. The shields would fail within minutes. "Sir," Zen called out suddenly, his voice filled with disbelief. "I'm reading a massive energy surge on our long-range scanners. The Vorthak are powering up their planet crackers," the tactical officer said grimly. "No," Zen insisted. "This is different. It's coming from outside the system." He worked frantically at his console. "Sir, something just appeared on the edge of our solar system. Something big." The main display shifted to show the long-range scanners. A new contact had appeared, moving toward them at impossible speed. The signature was unlike anything in their databases. "Impossible," the tactical officer breathed. "According to these readings, that ship is traveling at nearly 40% light speed. No known technology can achieve such velocity." War Admiral Grix noticed the disturbance as well. On his flagship, confused reports flooded in from his sensor operators. "War Admiral, an unknown vessel has entered the system," his aide reported nervously. "It's approaching at incredible speed." "One ship." Grix laughed. "Let them come. They will burn with the Nexari." As they watched, the unknown vessel's speed began decreasing rapidly. What had seemed like a streak of light gradually resolved into a ship shape. The tactical displays struggled to process what they were seeing. "How is it slowing down so quickly?" Mira wondered aloud in her lab, where she had been monitoring the situation. The G-forces should tear any ship apart. The answer came when the vessel finally dropped into normal space. The ship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, sleek and predatory, its hull a deep blue-black that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols marked its sides, and energy patterns flickered along its length. Size estimates varied wildly as sensors tried to lock onto the craft. It seemed to shift in phase, as if not entirely present in normal space. On the Vorthak flagship, War Admiral Grix stared at the readings in disbelief. "What kind of ship is this?" "Unknown, War Admiral," his science officer replied. "Our sensors can barely maintain lock. It's as if the vessel exists partially outside normal spacetime." Before Grix could respond, his communications board lit up with an incoming transmission. The same human face from before appeared on his screen, but now she seemed different, harder, more dangerous. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UCS Prometheus," she said, her voice calm but carrying an undertone of steel. "You are engaged in an unprovoked attack on a peaceful research station. Withdraw immediately." Grix's scared face twisted into a sneer. "Human, you fly to your death. One primitive ship cannot stand against the might of the Vorthic Empire." Captain Chen's expression didn't change. "We'll see about that." The transmission ended, leaving both fleets staring at each other across the void. On Tarvik Station, hope flickered in Nexari hearts for the first time in days. Perhaps these mysterious humans were more than they seemed. War Admiral Grix studied the human vessel with growing unease. Something about it disturbed him, though he couldn't identify exactly what. The Vorthak had conquered dozens of species, crushed hundreds of fleets. Yet this single ship made him nervous. "All vessels, target the human ship," he commanded. "Destroy it quickly, then resume bombardment of the station." 7 heavy cruisers and 2 dreadnoughts turned their weapons toward the UCS Prometheus. The firepower they commanded could level continents, vaporize fleets. Against one unknown vessel, the outcome seemed certain. But as the Vorthic ships maneuvered into attack formation, something extraordinary happened. The human ship simply vanished. "Where did it go?" Grix roared. His sensor operators worked frantically. "Unknown, War Admiral. It's just gone. No energy signature, no debris. It's as if it never existed." In that moment of confusion, the tide of battle began to turn. The humans had just announced their presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. And War Admiral Grix was about to learn that some species only appeared primitive until they chose to reveal their true nature. The UCS Prometheus had not fled. It had simply begun to fight. When humanity answers, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UCS Prometheus, her hands clasped behind her back as she watched the tactical display. Around her, the bridge hummed with quiet efficiency. Unlike the cramped industrial designs favored by most species, the human vessel's interior was spacious and elegant, with flowing lines that seemed almost organic. "Stealth field at maximum," reported Lieutenant Commander Torres from the tactical station. "The Vorthak have completely lost contact." Sarah nodded. The Prometheus represented humanity's finest technology, developed in secret over 50 years of careful observation and preparation. While the galaxy saw humans as primitive traders, the reality was far different. Humanity had learned to watch and wait, to understand their potential enemies before revealing themselves. "Analysis of enemy forces," she asked calmly. 9 ships total," Torres replied. 7 heavy cruisers, 2 dreadnoughts. Conventional plasma weapons, kinetic shields, standard ion drives. Technology approximately equivalent to galactic standards circa 2 centuries ago. And the research station? Significant damage but holding. "Their shields are down to 18%. Torres paused. "Captain, our orders were to observe only. Command didn't authorize direct intervention." Sarah turned to face her tactical officer, her dark eyes reflecting the starlight streaming through the bridge's transparent aluminum dome. "Lieutenant Commander, do you see a peaceful research station under attack by an aggressive military force?" "Yes, Mom." "Then our orders are clear. The Colonial Defense Mandate authorizes protection of civilian populations against unprovoked aggression, regardless of species." She moved to the captain's chair, its bioadaptive surface conforming to her frame. "Besides, it's time the galaxy learned who we really are." On Tarvik Station, Dr. Mira Thane watched in amazement as her sensors detected strange energy fluctuations throughout the system. The human ship had vanished, but something was happening. Quantum signatures unlike anything in their databases flickered in and out of existence. "Commander," she called out, "I'm reading massive gravitational distortions near the Vorthak fleet." Before Commander Vec could respond, several things happened simultaneously. The space around the lead Vorthak heavy cruiser rippled like water, and suddenly The human ship emerged directly above it, so close that their hulls nearly touched. The UCS Prometheus opened fire. But these weren't the simple energy weapons the galaxy was accustomed to. Streams of coherent particles, accelerated to near-light speed by magnetic fields that bent space itself, struck the Vorthak vessel with devastating precision. The alien ship's shields collapsed instantly, and secondary explosions bloomed along its hull. War Admiral Grix watched in horror as his flagship's sister ship was crippled in seconds. All vessels, open fire. Destroy that ship. The remaining Vorthak vessels unleashed a barrage of plasma cannons and kinetic projectiles. The space around the Prometheus lit up like a star as thousands of rounds converged on its position. But the human ship was no longer there. It had phased back into stealth, emerging moments later behind one of the dreadnoughts. This time, the Prometheus deployed weapons that defied understanding. Crackling spheres of energy that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions struck the massive Vorthak vessel, passing through its shields as if they were merely suggestions. Impossible. Grix roared. No known technology can penetrate Vorthak shields. On the Prometheus, Sarah watched the battle unfold with cool professionalism. Quantum torpedoes are proving effective against their shield harmonics, she observed. Their technology is powerful but inflexible. Should we attempt communication? Her first officer, Commander Park, asked. They had their chance, Sarah replied. Now they faced the consequences of their choices. The battle continued to unfold in ways that violated everything the Vorthak thought they knew about space combat. The human ship moved like nothing they had ever encountered, appearing and disappearing at will, striking from impossible angles. Its weapons seemed to bypass the laws of physics. But it wasn't just technology that gave the humans their advantage. It was their tactical doctrine, developed through careful study of galactic conflicts. While other species fought with brute force or overwhelming numbers, humans had learned to fight smart. Dr. Mira Thane realized what she was witnessing. They're not just more advanced, she whispered to herself. They think differently. The Vorthak fought like most warrior species, direct, aggressive, relying on superior firepower. The humans fought like predators, using misdirection, precision strikes, and their enemy's strength against them. Another Vorthak heavy cruiser erupted in flames as quantum torpedoes found their mark. The Prometheus emerged from stealth long enough to deploy a new weapon, a field of some kind that seemed to drain energy from the alien ship's power cores. War Admiral, his science officer reported, voice shaking, their technology is beyond our understanding. They're manipulating forces we barely know exist. Grix clenched his fists. The Vorthak Empire had built its power on the assumption that they possessed superior technology and tactics. Now that assumption was crumbling before his eyes. Signal the remaining ships, he commanded. Full retreat. But the humans weren't finished. Captain Chen opened a channel to the fleeing Vorthak vessels, her image appearing on every screen in their fleet. War Admiral Grix, she said, her voice carrying clearly across space. You came here to demonstrate Vorthak power. Instead, you've learned a valuable lesson. There are forces in this galaxy you do not understand, species you cannot bully. She paused, letting her words sink in. You will leave this system immediately. You will not return. And you will carry a message back to your empire. The Terran Confederacy now extends protection to all peaceful species in this sector. Grix's face contorted with rage, but he could not argue with the evidence floating around him. 4 of his ships were disabled or destroyed, the others barely functional. This single human vessel had accomplished what entire fleets had failed to do: defeat the Vorthak in open combat. This is not over, he snarled. Sarah's expression remained calm. For your sake, I hope it is. The remaining Vorthak ships limped away from the system, their retreat marking the end of an era. For the first time in centuries, someone had stood up to the Vorthak Empire and won. As the enemy fleet disappeared into hyperspace, the UCS Prometheus moved into orbit around Tarvik Station. The alien researchers who had spent days preparing for death now found themselves saved by beings they had barely considered worthy of notice. Captain Chen opened a channel to the station. Commander Vek's relieved face appeared on her screen, all four of his eyes wide with gratitude and amazement. "Captain Chen," he began, "I cannot express our gratitude." "No thanks necessary," Sarah interrupted gently. "We came because it was right. Your people were in danger, and we had the power to help." Dr. Mira Thane had made her way to the command center, still clutching her quantum research notes. "Captain, may I ask how your technology works? The things we've witnessed seem to violate several fundamental laws of physics." Sarah smiled, the first time the aliens had seen a human expression of genuine warmth. "Dr. Thane, your research into quantum tunneling is remarkably advanced. Perhaps we have much to discuss." Over the following days, as repair crews from both species worked to restore Tarvik Station, the foundation for a new alliance was laid. The humans shared certain technologies, while the Nexeri offered their theoretical knowledge. It was the beginning of a partnership that would reshape the galaxy. News of the Vorthak defeat spread quickly through the civilized systems. The species that had refused to help the Nexeri now sent diplomatic messages, eager to establish relations with the mysterious humans. But Sarah Chen had little patience for fair-weather friends. The Terran Confederacy would remember who stood with them, and who stood aside when help was needed. In her final log entry from the mission, Captain Chen wrote, "Today, humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, not as conquerors or merchants, but as protectors. We have shown that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the courage to defend those who cannot defend themselves." The galaxy would never be the same. The humans had kept their true nature hidden for 50 years, but now they were ready to take their place among the stars. And they had made it clear that they would not tolerate the strong preying upon the weak. War Admiral Grix limped back to Vorthak space, his fleet in ruins and his reputation destroyed. He brought with him a new reality. The galaxy now had protectors, and the age of Vorthak expansion was over. On Tarvik Station, research resumed with renewed vigor. Dr. Mira Thane worked alongside human scientists, their combined knowledge opening new frontiers of possibility. The quantum breakthrough that the Vorthak had tried to steal would instead benefit all peaceful species, protected by humans who understood that some things were worth fighting for. Captain Sarah Chen stood on her bridge as the Prometheus prepared to depart for home. Through the transparent dome, she could see Tarvik Station, its lights bright against the stars. The Nexeri had survived, their research would continue, and the galaxy was a little safer. It was a good day's work. As the human ship engaged its quantum drive and vanished into the depths of space, a new chapter in galactic history began. The humans had announced themselves not with conquest or trade agreements, but with an act of pure heroism. And across the galaxy, those who heard the story began to wonder, what other surprises did these mysterious humans have in store?